Welcome to episode 3 of the Here Nor There podcast, episode 3 for Confections. How y'all doing today? So, yesterday's episode was a very interesting one. It was entitled How I Made Living in the End Easier Than It Should Be. The title basically represents that living in the end is actually pretty easy. It's one of the easier topics, one of the easier techniques involved within the law of assumption. At the end of the day, you are simply relaxing in the state of the wish fulfilled. As I've previously stated in other episodes and other forms of media through here nor there, I personally believe that the easiest feeling to invoke whenever you're utilizing visualization or when you're utilizing scripting or any of the other techniques is relaxation, is satisfaction. You can be relaxed all the time. You can be satisfied all the time. And truly, whenever you achieve whatever it is you're trying to manifest, when it is entered into your life and when it's a permanent fixture in your life, you are relaxed. You are chilling. If you're manifesting love, think about whenever you're with your significant other. If you've previously been with them before, think about those times where you shared together where it's just a normal day. You're relaxing on a Sunday. Maybe you're taking a walk in the park. Maybe you're sitting together watching a Netflix show. Maybe you're just driving to the grocery store. Maybe you're driving to a concert and you're just relaxed. You're on your phone, you're scrolling, you're thinking about what you're going to eat that night. Maybe you are reminding each other of something funny that you saw last night. You're relaxed. That is the more powerful aspect of manifestation. That is the majority of what you're going to be feeling when your desire enters into your reality again. Whenever you're reading Neville Goddard, the most prominent author of this type of material, of this niche, of the law of assumption, and I would argue also to say the law of attraction, when you look at him, when you look at the teacher, when you look at the OG, and if you model your visualizations after how he visualized very simple scenes. He visualized being in his bed in New York instead of in his barracks during World War II in Germany or wherever he was stationed. He imagined himself walking up the gangplank, leaving Barbados when he needed to be back in New York at a specific time. He imagined himself falling asleep every night in his bed in Barbados when he initially wanted to go in the famous story, You Are Now in Barbados. These were very simplistic scenes, even those that he recommended to specific person seekers. Whenever we take a step back and we live in the end, it is quite easy to live in the end of those simple moments. You can think of those all the time. They're easy to conjure up and they're easy to live in. But getting back to the topic, more specifically, living in the end, it is the feeling. As I said from the visualization example, you're visualizing being relaxed, being satisfied, being content. And you can achieve those feelings before the manifestation arrives. When it comes down to professional manifestation, manifesting career and job promotions or career and job success, I think that in that realm, people naturally get it. We've all experienced promotions before. And whenever you're promoted, those of you who have senior level positions, those of you who have managerial experience, you remember that you have to perform at the level of the position that you want to be promoted to before you're promoted. If you're attempting to be a manager, you have to show up on time. You have to show that you are in alignment with the company motto, in alignment with the company vision, the ethics, the morale. Many of you know that I served in the military when I was younger. And around the time when I was about maybe 22, 23, I was sought after for a promotion to the rank of sergeant in the United States Army. At the time, I was just honestly a bumbling soldier. I didn't know too much. I didn't have as much experience as other people in my squad, other people in my platoon. I felt behind. I felt that I didn't provide much value to the unit. I was new. I was only in the Army for about 2 years at the time. I was approached for this leadership position over four of my squad mates, four squad mates that had significant amount of experience, not only in the military, but in life. A couple of them were 10 years older than me at that time. They were in their 30s. It baffled me at the time, but immediately I was given the opportunity to excel. I started to live in the end. Of course, I'm in my 20s back then. I didn't know what that meant back then. I didn't even know what the term was. But I knew I had to perform at the level that I wanted to be promoted to. I was mentored to perform at the level that I wanted to be at. So immediately I started showing up 30 minutes before formation. I started to be at work 30 minutes before my other squad mates arrived at work. I started to score the highest score on the physical fitness test. You see where I'm getting at here? I showed up with my uniform pressed and ready to go. Back then in the military, you had to iron your uniform. I think now they switched to something now. So I think now they switched to something that's a little bit more practical. In those days, you had to iron and starch your uniform. Believe that. You had to iron and starch fatigues. I'll never forget that. I showed up clean shaven, ready to go, well hydrated, well rested, first in, last out, arriving at work first, last one to leave. I started to perform at the duty of the rank before I received it. And within about 6 months, I was promoted. So manifestation is very similar. You have to arrive at the state of consciousness. You have to arrive at the state of being before your manifestation materializes. So going back to the feeling that you want to invoke, relaxation, happiness, satisfaction, contentment, you have to arrive there before the manifestation comes. You have to arrive there before your desire materializes into your life. It's quite easy when you think about it. All you have to do is get relaxed. You don't necessarily have to relax specifically about that thing, but you just relax into the wish fulfilled, which means you are living a life of relaxation. You're not anxious that it's not going to come. You're being happy with what you do have in your life. You're being satisfied with what you do have. If you don't have the money right now, the money that you do have, there is some money that you do have right now. Be happy for that. If you're manifesting $1 million, but you only have $1,000 in your account, rest in that. Relax that you have $1,000. Relax that you have an account. If you're manifesting love, those of you that are manifesting their reunion with your specific person, or you're manifesting somebody else that you have not met yet, you have love around you already. You have friends, you have family. Some of you have children, you have colleagues. Strangers are coming up to you every day telling you you're beautiful, telling you you're handsome. Rest in that, relax in that. Relax in the fact that you're healthy. I was in going back to my military experience, I was in a war zone. And there were children running around every day with no shoes and only maybe one pair of clothes, one pair of shirt, one pair of pants. And they were happy. They were happy just because they were alive. They were happy just because they had all their limbs intact. Think about that for a second. I don't want to get morbid. I don't want to get too macabre with this, but when you're thinking about what you don't have, just for a moment, shift your thinking back to what you do have. I think it's safe to say that most of us have our health. You may not have that SP right now. You may not have that money right now. You may not have that luxury lifestyle right now, but you have your health. And let's think about that for a second. Health is a very important thing because let's just say you have your SP. Let's say that you have the luxury lifestyle. You're a millionaire already, but your health isn't there. That's something I'm going to cover in a future episode is health, because none of these manifestations matter if you're not healthy, if you're not able to enjoy it, if you're in constant pain all the time, if you're in the hospital all the time, you can't enjoy any manifestation. So oftentimes we overlook the fact that we're just healthy and we're vibrant and we're alive. So if you don't have the money, if you don't have the home, if you don't have the SP, you have your health, and you can start there. You can start there, that you have your health, that you have your consciousness, that you are aware of who you are and your mind is intact. You're already advancing your mental acumen in order to become a better version of yourself. You can give gratitude in that. And when you're doing that, you're living in the end. You're being satisfied with what you do have. So more things arrive to make you feel satisfied, to make you feel relaxed, to make you feel happy. And essentially, that's how you live in the end until your manifestation arrives. Yes, you can visualize being with your person. I always recommend you only have to really do it once. I've done it both ways. I visualize things multiple times and I visualize things once and they happen. So do what feels good. Don't do what a coach tells you to do, but do what feels good. I visualize some of my bigger things 3 times and it happened. I visualized other things once and it happened. I visualized other things a dozen times and it happened. So what the common denominator in all of those is that I felt good when I was doing it. When I was attempting to do it to rush it, when I was attempting to do it to uh when I was rushing to feel some type of lack, when I was rushing because I was afraid, it was very ineffective. But when I applied it to just feeling good, it's just like a meal. You eat until you're satisfied. And when you're satisfied, you're good to go. So living in the end is very important. But the most important part of that phrase is the living. Live your life. You live in the end of what you want to be feeling. So if it's happiness, if it's joy, get to a joyful place in your life before the manifestation arrives, and it will arrive much faster. One of my favorite Neville Goddard quotes is a very short one. You go to the end, and the end is where you begin. I challenge you. Every day in your life, go to the end. Don't think about what SP said yesterday. Don't think about what the job said yesterday. Don't think about what your family said yesterday. You go to the end, and that's where you rest. That's where your imagination rests. That's where your emotions rest. As much as you can, you go to the end. That is where you place your emotions. So, with that being said, that is the end of this episode. So, I'm looking forward today to the last live stream of April. I think that live streaming is possibly my favorite thing to do on the Here Nor There platform. It feels very organic. It feels like a digital party, if you will. And getting ready to do that in a couple of hours. Looking forward to talking to the community and providing more guidance, insight, and leadership within this metaphysical world that we live in. So, you are neither here nor there. That is the end of this episode. See you next week.